In this video, Jeremy Kyle of Talk TV and Reform UK's Richard Tice talks about the upcoming elections and the state of Britain. Before we get into the details, if you love diving into political issues and enjoy hearing a principled take on them, then hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to join the conversation. It will help our channel reach a wider audience.
Kick off straight away with Keir Starmer. I mean, he said about reform there, I wrote it down, if this country goes for a right-wing proposition that will cause toxic division, he said that would not be British and we would suffer dramatically. What's your response to that, Richard?
Well, my response to that is that this is a Prime Minister who is delusional, who thinks he's going to be there in a year's time. I think probably Coburn was probably right. It might be a 20% chance, but the likelihood is after disastrous May elections when reform, we plan to do extremely well, that Starmer will be ousted. But look, if there's a reform government, and let's hope there will be, after the next general election, that's because the British people have voted for a British government, not some government that seems to be sort of kowtowing to the Chinese communist regime in so many different ways. And to be British is to believe in British values. It's to believe in everything that Britain stands for. It's to believe in our culture. It's to believe in law and order. It's to believe in making people better off. And fundamentally, it's to believe in our background as a Christian nation. That's who we are. It's where we've come from, and it's where we must always remain. And this idea that diversity is our strength. Well, how's that playing out on the streets up and down the country, where people are too terrified to walk through the streets of London wearing a watch or jewellery for fear that some mugger might come and nick it off you?
It's really interesting. If I was, not that he would listen to anybody, I don't think he does. I think you can see that in terms of how he speaks. But to attack reform as un-British is a bit rich from a man who has freely allowed people to flood into this country, who I would respectfully suggest don't have Britain's best interests at heart, and whose very presence in this country has actually, more than anything, caused division, upset and misery for so many of the indigenous population. But look, there was a poll yesterday, I'd love your response, More in Common, projecting your party would win a majority, 381 seats. Over Christmas, I've also read articles that have said that the biggest problem for reform will be that as the reality of what potentially could happen does start to happen to Labour, that you look at the Greens, God knows how they're on 17%, he's mad, by the way, and the Liberal Democrats, who I don't believe are any better, and that there would be at all costs, Richard, a concerted effort by not just the establishment, but anybody left of centre to do whatever they can to keep Nigel out of number 10. Now, my answer is your answer, which is it's surely about what the British people want, isn't it? And if they want it enough, they'll vote for it.
Trust the gut instinct of the British people at the ballot box overall, and I believe that they will vote for common sense and they will vote for reform in very, very significant numbers, because the country, I mean, we are literally going bust as a nation. The government has borrowed over £130 billion in the first 8 months of this year. I mean, it's just completely and utterly out of control. Everybody feels poorer. The budget confirmed that real disposable household income will at best flatline or fall over the remaining term of this government. And the British people have had enough. They want proper law and order. They want economic growth, and they want secure borders. It's not difficult, and that's what a reform government will give. And that's why we're leading in all the national polls. And sure, Starmer's, he looks like a sort of startled, terrified rabbit in that interview with the BBC yesterday. And rightly so, given the damage that he's doing to our country. And I just remind people, later this month, he's going to head off to Beijing, where he's going to kowtow to the communist regime as he approves a super mega embassy in a strategically important location in the city of London for the Chinese. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. This is a man who is, the infiltration of the communist regime in China into the Labour Party is something that we're determined gets properly investigated by this review that was announced by the government just before the the Christmas break.
I couldn't agree more. And in fact, just taking it back to what he said in that Kunzberg interview about, a vote for reform will be un-British. What about this accusation this morning? Well, it's not just an accusation because, again, let's just play another clip for people who are just tuning in to the Jeremy Carr Breakfast Show. He did this big interview with Laura Kunzberg. He talked about the threat of reform. He said he'll be the Prime Minister. And then he talked about something that winds the hell out of me, the betrayal of Brexit. Have a listen, peeps.
Steps.
But what's next?
We've already taken steps on food and agriculture to align with the single market. That's the sovereign decision that we have taken. I think we should get closer, and if it's in our national interest, in our interest, to have even closer alignment with the single market, then we should consider that. We should go that far.
Richard, sovereign decision we've taken, we should get closer. I'm sorry, maybe I missed the point. I voted to leave, as did 52% of this country. What does that do to the British electorate? They'll be up in arms.
Of course there will be, and that's why we're polling so well in traditionally Labour heartlands in the Midlands and the north of England. And we're also polling extremely well in Wales, where Labour is likely to be completely and utterly demolished in the Senate elections in May. Look, the simple fact is that Starmer unbelievably wants to take us closer to a failing economic regime, the EU. The last thing we want to do is get closer to it, given that Germany's in recession, France is in deep trouble economically, also heading towards some form of bankruptcy, almost ungovernable. Why would you want to link yourself and handcuff yourself to a failing economic model? It makes no sense whatsoever. We should be cutting wasteful spending, cutting daft regulations, keeping the smart regulations, so that we can start growing again, make work pay, make risk-taking pay. That's how you get economic growth, and then you can afford performance-related tax cuts. It's basic common sense.
Britain needs leaders who believe in law and order. Leaders who believe in our foundation of Judeo-Christian principles and values. We need leaders who have Britain's interests at heart, not the interests of the globalists. The people want a government who can create economic growth, secure the borders, and a country they can feel safe in. Why would Prime Minister Keir Starmer want to get back into Europe with all these European countries that are failing economically, culturally, and socially? If a government is unable to manage its own country without outside influences, that government is in the wrong position. Do you believe that a government who cannot manage their own country should step down? Leave a comment and let's keep this conversation going. If you have benefited in any way from this video, please subscribe, like, share, and be sure to leave us a comment.